It was reported yesterday that Romelu Lukaku has said no thank you to Chelsea Football Club. He does not want to leave Inter Milan. The same outlets and publications today claim that Chelsea Football Club have given up on their pursuit and their attempt to sign Erling Haaland this summer and are going to go full throttle for Romelu Lukaku. This flies completely and utterly in the face of the transfer strategy and policy that sits in place at Chelsea Football Club. This is a contradiction to the way Marina and Chelsea, and of course under the leadership of Roman Abramovich, operate. They do not continue to chase players publicly that they have no chance of signing. Chelsea do not get mugged off in the transfer window. There is no indication from any tier one sources that Chelsea have ended their pursuit of Haaland. It is just very, very quiet at this moment in time. There are no guarantees that the Norwegian striker comes in. We are going to delve into this story in more detail. We owe it the respect of that. But my stance on this is very, very clear. Lukaku is still an option for Chelsea Football Club, but he is not the main target. Haaland still remains at the top of that list. Work is still being done behind the scenes. And if it is true yesterday from Outlet 1 that Lukaku has categorically turned Chelsea down and will not join for love nor money, Chelsea Football Club a day later wouldn't be continuing that pursuit. It wouldn't be worth the time, the energy, or the effort. We're also going to be delving today into the situation with Tammy Abraham and the asking price of the Chelsea striker dropping. We're taking your phone calls as well. But do me a big favor from the start. Smash that like and that share button. Subscribe to the Football Terrace, the only platform that gives you a voice every single day to talk about your club. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. I do hope you are well. You're enjoying your morning. How are we all? Weirdest comment to start the show on says, ha, ha, ha. Terry told us all Haaland joining Chelsea. Now Terry has changed his mind. This man clearly didn't listen to what I said going in. Nice try, my friend. I stand by what I've been told and what I've read, that Chelsea are working on a bid. I stand by what the likes of Jan Furtov have said, that if Chelsea do decide to submit that bid for Haaland, that Dortmund will accept a crazy offer of around £150 million. And I totally believe that Haaland would join Chelsea. I've said it all summer. It's in Chelsea's hands whether they want to submit the bid or not. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. Chelsea have not in any way, any shape or form, excuse me, I'm just updating something, ended their pursuit of Haaland. It just isn't the case. One second here. I've just got to update something here. Sorry, peeps. If I had someone working for me, it would help. But I don't. There we go. Let's do some more of your comments here this morning. Harla in, Werner out is what Marble Halls TV says here. Demington Bear says none of them are coming. Move on. Tell Tuchel to suck it up, Tammy. Werner are the front three. Tammy was good enough for Frank. Let him be good enough for Tommy. But they want better, don't they? They want better, my friend. Arjan, morning to you. Haaland and Lukaku both may not happen, but a striker will come. Listen, a striker has to come. A striker has to come for Chelsea to win the league. To challenge and to be competitive and to pick up cup trophies, they can do that without one. But they need a striker. They legitimately need a striker. Comment here says, so basically nobody has any news on the striker saga. Do you know what, James? This is This there is the most perfect thing. I said it this morning when I shared the news. I thought, you've got nothing to write, so let's just throw in a twist that doesn't exist. I mean, this happens in legitimate deals. Deals can be when Raphael Varane had been agreed. The deal between the clubs was complete, and the legal matters were being reviewed, and the payment structures just being legally verified and confirmed. All these weird reports about fouled bids and the player considering an additional offer from Madrid. All these leaks started to come out between the sort of 15th, 16th of July until the day it was announced. There was all these different links that continued to circulate over and over and over and over and over again. Over and over and over and over again. But they're all nonsense. The situation was resolved. There is just this lull between clubs coming to an agreement and getting it over the line, so they officially announce things. Of course, with all deals can be agreed, medicals completed, even partial contracts signed and still fall through. These things can happen. I mean, Chelsea have a very famous example of that when it comes to Obi Mikel. Like, literally, he was a Man United player holding the shirt and he became a Chelsea player. But basically, there is no update around the Haaland situation until there's one final update remaining. Yes, there might be news, something that, something somebody at Chelsea Football Club says, something at Dortmund somebody says. But in terms of the transfer situation and saga, I said this a number of days ago, it's all in Chelsea's hand. It's whether Chelsea put the bid in or not. It's as simple. It is as straightforward. It is as open and honest as that. That's it. There is no more to it than that. And Chelsea fans are being manipulated here. Chelsea fans here are being lied to here. No journalist should be saying that Haaland is 100% going to be joining, because nobody knows that at this point. Nobody even knows yet 100% if Chelsea are going to submit this bid. As we've said, it's boring. It's monetary based. But behind the scenes, Chelsea have to consider whether or not spending that much money on a player in terms of fees and salaries is a feasible option. The precedent that it sets internally and externally could change the face of football. And if FFP is still going to remain in place beyond this year or two where it's going to be relaxed, Chelsea have to be mindful of this. So I absolutely agree with you. Morning, Sadhu. Hope you are very well indeed. Hope you're very well indeed. Big up, Terry. Listen, I appreciate that, bro. Always good vibes here at the Terrace. You know, it is what it is. I'll push things out and say what I think and feel. You know, I said last night on the update, the situation with Jules Koundé. I'm still on that one. I'm different. I'm 100% sure Chelsea are going to announce that. I believe that, again, staggered news is coming out. You've seen The Athletic, highly credible, The Athletic, that it doesn't even matter if the Zuma situation falls out because Chelsea will pay the money for him, or the exact words they used. This is probably what I've got to learn to do more on socials, just to keep people at bay, is word things better. But it says here, Chelsea want to sign Jules Koundé no matter what. They wanted him for the past 2 years. Kurt Zouma is the player that is being looked at as going in the other direction, but Chelsea are going to try and find a way to get this done regardless. It isn't word for word what I said last night on the Terrace, because I'm not suggesting for one singular second that The Athletic listen to me and take what I'm saying. But the point remains. There's an alternative. There's a fail-safe. There was 3 offers made. Emerson plus cash, Zouma plus cash, just cash. The first one, they didn't want Emerson, so they moved on to the second one. Sevilla would prefer cash plus Zouma. That's what they would prefer, because it gives them a replacement and some cash. They need cash. They've not got a lot of cash at the minute. The third option is all cash. The reason that they would prefer Zouma and cash is because then there's a player that comes in at the same time. It saves a lot of work. If the Zouma deal doesn't happen, they move on to the cash offer. But there's no more work to be done between Chelsea, Sevilla, and Jules Koundé. That element is complete. It's all to do with that. Now, the media outlets, I'm not a journalist. I don't care. I don't care if this deal falls through, because I'm not here trying to gain the sort of credibility that, say, a Fabrizio has got. That isn't what I do. I pass on the news and information as I see it, and it's your job to dissect and grant an opinion on it. We're fans of football here. You know, at the end of the day, The Athletic have just worded it. I've said pretty much the same thing that I've said. They're going to sign him no matter what. If they're signing him no matter what, then there's nothing to be stressed about. Jules Koundé's buzzing to join. He's agreed to personal terms. It's cool. But what you're going to see is people manipulate that situation in the media by there's a hijack, there's a problem, there's a snag, there's an issue, there's a concern. And they're going to run it through the ringer when all that's going on at this moment in time with the deal is they're finalizing the payment structure. There's just an added complication that in this payment structure, they've got to convince a human being to come and play for their football club. Do you know what I mean? If Sevilla had said no to any swap deals, what you would have seen happen by now is a here we go because the cash offer was accepted and Koundé was on his way to the UK to do his medical. That's all that's slowing it down. And we shared that on our update when we said that it was close to completion and that it's going to be a completed deal, that they were just sorting out these things. And it's being put out there slowly, but I would say just relax about this deal. Look, if there's an apocalyptic change and it falls through, I'll take it on the chin of misreading the situation. But at the end of the day, you can phone up this show now and say, based on all the information that you've listened to, that you've read, that you've spoken to people about, you think Haaland's 100% joining. That's all this comes down to at the end of the day. But we're always positive vibes here at the Terrace. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's tuning in. Please make sure you smash that like button for us, though. It's key that when you come along, you do that. Shane here says only 95 likes. Hit it, please. Thank you. Please get that done. We did have a super chat from Daniel, but he's retracted the message, so I don't know what's on it. We've got a brand new member as well. Daniel. Desire Eric has become an official member of the Football Terrace. My guy's become a squad member. Thank you very, very much indeed. And I'm very excited. The new sofas for the studio at Unit 7 have been ordered today, getting ready for the start of the new campaign. Very, very excited indeed. Man Like Jem says, I think we still have time on Haaland, but a bid needs to come next week at the latest for us. Who knows? Maybe the deal could be done, just waiting for Dortmund to find a replacement. Yeah, I mean, there's so many scenarios that as to why Chelsea haven't bid yet. No one knows why, Jem, and you know, no one's ever claimed that. And even though, as I say, I stand by what I was told, a number of outlets have reported the same as me. Chelsea have been preparing and Roman wants to put a 150 bid in. Will the club allow Roman to have his wish and execute it? If the finances don't stack up, they won't do it. Now, that's boring. That's boring. What do you mean the who cares about finances? All the things that you never see reported on by the mainstream when it comes to transfers are the boring bits. How many of you care about lawyers reviewing clauses on contracts taking a week? You're like, that's boring. Give us something juicy. Tell us there's a hijack. Tell us there's a snag. You know, tell us that Koundé's buzzing. Like, these things matter more to us. You know, we're our own worst enemies. But listen, I'll say it again. I'll say it with chest. Haaland is still the number one target. Lukaku deal is falling away slowly but surely. I wouldn't listen to these reports coming out of Italy today. Point blank, with respect to the journalists. With respect to the journalists that have written them, I think it's complete and utter nonsense. It just is. Complete and utter nonsense. Do me a favor, by the way, if you want to get notifications for all new Football Terrace content, there is a group chat just below to join on Telegram. It's the most amazing thing. You get a notification for every live stream before it happens, so you can get yourself prepared and ready for it to happen. Make sure you go and smash that right now, my wonderful people. We have a super chat here that says, in my humble opinion, I feel Lukaku is the better guarantee in the Premier League because we already got robbed from that league, thinking we were buying the second best striker and scorer in Timo Werner. Do you know what I'd say? Let me just take a sip of my tea here. What I would say to you, my friend, what I'd say to you is this. There are levels. There are levels to this game. And Timo Werner, even when it comes to what he was doing in the Bundesliga, Haaland is still a level above that in the same league. Haaland is scoring at rates, both in the Champions League and domestically, for a player of his age, which is unprecedented, never been done before. in a top 4 league in European football post the war. It just hasn't been done. So I understand your fear. I respect it. It's logical to think like that. But I disagree with it in terms of there being a kind of issue that could arise from it, is what I would say. That's what I'd say there. Smith asking me what I think of Ben White. Listen, there's been a lot of stick thrown towards Arsenal for the Ben White signing. My view has been the same the whole way through. I think Ben White is a tremendous football player. He really, really is a tremendous football player. I think Arsenal fans should be so excited to have him joining their football club. The announcement is going to be at some point today, I believe. I spoke to somebody yesterday that said that it was going to be by the end of this week. So, yeah, for me, it's very, very important indeed. Very, very important indeed. A great signing as well. Remember, all the links for all of our social media accounts are in our description. The one thing I would implore the Football Terrace community to do more is to come and follow us on Twitter, to come follow us on me on Instagram, Facebook. We've got our own Twitch account as well. We're going to have a lot of exclusive things on Twitch as we go into next season. So you need to go and sign up to that and follow us over there. It was amazing yesterday on Twitch. I don't know if you all saw when Fabrizio Romano finished his stream, he sent his viewers, or I think they call it a raid on Twitch, over to us. So we had a real big spike in numbers and viewers watching. I think like 5,500 people watching us live over on Twitch, which was amazing. So again, a big thank you to the man, the god, the don, Fabrizio Romano, for choosing my channel to send his followers to. And for me, it's a very humbling feeling to have one of the biggest name in transfer stories decide that that we're the channel that he would like to send these viewers over to. So yeah, really, really happy that he did that yesterday. So thank you, Fabrizio, for doing that. We have another super chat that's come through here from Ike, who says Haaland will come and join Koundé at the European Champions after that deal is settled. Zuma next club holding up the deal. Patience, Chelsea fans. Well, of course, and I think that's also part of the issue as well. West Ham came in, and Zuma's got to agree to sign. It's almost like right now, the way I look at it is this: I'm going to get married. My bride-to-be wants to marry me. The rings are there. The best man is there. The bridesmaid, everyone's there. We're just waiting for the vicar or the priest or the imam to turn up and do the ceremony. But everyone's there for it. Like Zuma in this case he's like the clergyman. Do you know what I'm saying? He's the guy that needs to marry this together. But if it doesn't happen, we'll just go down the road to the registry office. Do you know what I mean? Because we've got that booked as well. If the priest don't turn up, the registry offer is next. There's an alternative. There's a foul safe. There is nothing for Chelsea fans at this moment in time. There is nothing for Chelsea fans to be concerned or worried about in any way, shape, or form when it comes to that deal. I want you to phone up this morning, though, and have your say. I'm going to post the link for you to phone up and come onto the terrace now. That's going to be posted now in the live comment section. I'm also going to post it on the Discord server as well, because I would love to hear from you all today. I want to know what you're thinking and you're feeling. We'll take a look at the poll in a moment as well. It's pinned. It's a pinned comment in the live comment section, so you shouldn't be able to miss it. You definitely won't miss it on Twitch. I'm going to post it on the Discord server as well, in case, because some of you sit in the Discord server and watch these shows. You're not actually. That's where your chat is. It's posted on the Discord server as well. If you want to come on and have your say on the terrace this morning, this is what we're here for. Loads of callers coming in and coming through as it stands right now. I was going to show you all a picture of the sofas that I'm going to be getting today, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for you to see it when we launch the studio, when we launch it there. Terry, what about the Odegaard links? Listen, Arsenal are linked to about 5,000 midfielders at the moment. I think there's an element of truth to each and every single one of them. It's waiting for there's a pecking order and everyone's got a different view. So when we look at attacking midfielders, Maddison's number 1. I think Odegaard's 2 or 3. You've got Hassan Mawar, who's part of that mix as well. He's not a 10, though, but he's an attacking midfield player. I think Arsenal are playing a very good game here. And I know that there's a lot of the negative Arsenal fans who are saying we've all been hoodwinked, we've been hoodwinked, we've been hoodwinked. That just tells me they're not listening to the transfer professionals. I would remain very relaxed right now. If Arsenal screw this up and don't end up with anybody of any real note or substance, then fair play. They could end up in a situation, Arsenal, where none of their top targets decide to join them because they want to hang out at the clubs they're at and see what happens next summer. They may join other clubs, Ruben Neves to Man United, odds on to happen now. All these things could transpire for Arsenal, but it doesn't mean the approach is wrong. It doesn't mean the approach from Arsenal Football Club has been wrong. Thank you. You know me and my analogies, bro. You know me and my analogies. Okay. Let's have a look here. Romano has taken Ornstein's crown as the Don. Do you know what I think it is with what Fabrizio was able to do compared to nearly every other journalist is he was able to commercialize it. He was able to create a tagline. Like, here we go is like Del Boy's lovely jubbly. Do you get what I'm saying? There is a catchphrase. It's like Troops with back again. Like man like Claude with time to go. When you get a tagline which is synonymous to you, it helps. And then it grew off of there. And what happens is when you become in that space is people then gravitate to you. Certain agents give you information. Clubs want stories told in certain ways. So, and the bigger you get, the more information you get because people want you to tell their story, essentially. So if you've got a club that want the transfer story to be iterated in a particular way, you go to Fabrizio and you give him that information. Now, Fabrizio, he's just reporting what he is being told. Now, of course, he'll do his due diligence. Do I trust this person? So, for instance, if the person who gave me the Jules Koundé news turns out to be a liar, I just won't go back to them again. Does that make sense? I'm not claiming that I've spoken to the player and he's told me this. I'm saying I've been given this information. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. I'll be bothered that someone gave me the wrong information, but it doesn't damage me. That person just won't get used again. So it's as simple as that. And Fabrizio has just done such a great job for himself, and I'm really happy for him. He's obviously living a good life now. He's killing it, and he deserves nothing but credit. Nothing but credit at all. Stole Here We Go from who? He didn't steal Here We Go. I stole Here We Go. Not really. It's funny because when I was first started doing the Blood Brother voiceovers back in 2016, when we did the pilots, the script that was written, so there was a base script written for every show. So I would watch the shows. I would then do one recording of voiceovers with the script, and then I would do one recording of it with my own words, and then the editors would mash it all together. On every script, they would say, "Here we go." So I just started saying "Here we go" a lot. Like it's just something I started saying. But for me, the person that put it into the script, like we wrote part of the script together, we're both big UFC fans, and it was more of the "Here we go" from UFC. But yeah, it is what it is. If you think I stole it, my brother, that's you can think that. You can't steal words. They exist. They're for everybody to use. You're making it sound like John Henry trying to copyright the word Liverpool, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But it's funny, really, that people say that because, like, smash the like button was something that I say. And to a point where when I first joined UFF, which was connected with AFTV, they did all this artwork and they used like phrases on this artwork to promote the brand and things that everybody says. And one of mine that was under my name was smash the like button. And from that point, I started hearing more and more people say it in the same way. You don't hear me cry saying, "Oh, I said that before you." Who am I? David Brent, moaning about someone who's telling a joke that I told once 10 years ago. You know, I started watch-alongs on YouTube. I didn't stick with them and I went off in another direction, and other people have gone out, like the likes of Goldbridge, and made them into amazing pieces of content. Don't hear me crying about it. Why did it first? Do your thing, bruv. Do you know what I mean? People have got to be less sensitive. I'm going to start going to your calls here. Varane is saying he's goodbyes at the training ground right now. Is he? Well, he's on his way to Manchester. Very, very excited in indeed. A few people here saying that Varane rejected Chelsea. Not directly, he didn't. Not directly, he didn't. He just told everybody that he wants to join Manchester United. That isn't the same for me as rejecting someone. Someone here says, does Robbie own Flex's channel? I have no idea. I have no idea at all. So I'm not going to speculate in either direction. Flex's channel is brilliant. Great content coming out of there. Flex is a great guy as well. But I don't even know. There we go. There we go. Let's look at a few more of the comments coming through here. Terry, I've heard Lukaku said no thanks. He didn't say no thanks. There's no way, right? There's no way. He's like, no thanks. No, I don't think he did at all. I think what he's iterated is that he's happy to be in stay at Inter Milan. And Lukaku is going to keep saying he's happy to remain at Inter Milan until Chelsea put an official bid in. Chelsea are not going to put an official bid in until they know the Haaland situation is dead. And even then, they may wait for Haaland until next year. If Lukaku comes out and says he's willing to leave and then has to stay, that creates a potential toxic environment. Now, I'm not accusing Inter Milan fans of anything in particular, but we do know that a person of Lukaku's persuasion could be subjected to some really nasty abuse in Italy, the same as he could be in countries like England as well, because we have a percentage of our fan bases that are nasty pieces of work. So Lukaku is being very sensible to talk about his love, admiration, and happiness remaining in Inter, because he still may remain in Inter. I'm not even saying that he's lying about being happy there. I'm just stating that he's always going to say he's happy to stay. And if a massive bid did come in, he can just say that it was Inter accepted the bid and I've got some unfinished business. Thank you, Inter Milan. I was so happy there. I leave with a heavy heart, and everybody will say thank you for the money and move on. Like it's just an obvious thing to me, my friend. It's just an obvious thing to me when it comes to that. Terry, will you ever work with AFTV? If an opportunity arises, yes. I mean, I've AFTV haven't reached out to me in a while. I know Robbie. You know, when Robbie's gone through things in recent over the last year, you know, the passing of his father. I'll speak about that because it's a public thing. Of course, when Claude passed away, and a few other things. You know, I reached out to Robbie, a few phone calls, a few text messages, seeing if he's okay, because he's a good guy. And Robbie helped me a lot in my sort of early YouTube life, and I'll always be respectful and happy that he did that for me and everything else to Robbie. So yeah, if AFTV like, Terry, do you want to come on and do this? Of course I'd say yes. And I would, even people that I've had fallings out with on YouTube, even people that publicly state they don't like me. Now that's not AFTV. I'd still work with. It's about giving viewers football opinion. And do you know what? Sometimes I think people that don't get on are idiotic, because them doing a bit of a stream together could be gold. It would be gold. Everyone would tune in, you know. I'm telling you now, Lee and Nagao, I've told them both this privately. They're idiots. They could have become the biggest double act in the history of YouTube if they just learned to bite their tongues a little bit, professionally get along, and talk Arsenal. Don't take it too personal every time, but it's still something like the fifth biggest video on the history of the football terrace, them two having a fight. And it's like, since then, it did become toxic between the two of them on socials. But it's like, why pass up? Like, Laurel and Hardy are two of the greatest comedic double acts in the history of entertainment, and they despise one another. Or so I've read. So sometimes it's like, be professional, make it work. Get out your feelings a little bit. But there we go. We're going to start going to your calls now, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that like button has been hit this morning. We'll reiterate this news again. There are reports today that the pursuit of Haaland has been ended. This is false. As of now, as of this moment, that is false. Lukaku become the number one target. That is false. Lukaku saying no thanks. That is false. These deals are well and truly on. Chelsea are working on them. They're exceedingly difficult. Every transfer expert and his dog told everybody at the beginning of the window these deals would protrude. These deals would take the majority of the window. We've still got, what, 4 weeks of the window remaining. So to expect them to be done and dusted now, when every single expert on the planet said they would go right down to the wire, is stupid. And you'll know when Chelsea are pulled out of these transfers, because the Chelsea tier ones will report on it in unison, because they will be briefed. And until you see them briefing on it, it is still on. Don't be suckered in by any other outlet or anybody else in that regard. Until you see that, these deals are still on. A few, I don't know what some of you are saying here. Jerome here says Romano has officially announced on his Twitch channel that Spurs are the most difficult club to deal with. Levy is still trying to squeeze every penny, and yet could miss out on a great signing. That's the Daniel Levy way. I think you'll still get Romero, but you'll get Romero at the right price. Again, these deals are very difficult to get done. These deals are very hard to get over the line. Nothing about that stresses me at all. Nothing about that stresses me at all. If I was a Spurs fan, thank you very much for that super chat. We're going to be getting Nick Toller on soon. I was going to get Jem on, but Jem has disappeared from backstage. He's probably got to do some work. South London's finest. South London in something. I don't know what the rest of the word says, but Bailey Tech will be on the show with us very, very soon as well. Do me a big, big favor and hit that like and that share button. People, subscribe. But please go into the description below and start following us across all of our social media platforms. Very, very important to get that done. Man like Devo, if you're watching now, Sunday or Monday night, I will be around. I'll DM you, bro. We'll get that show sorted out and I'll come on your channel, my friend. You've been on mine enough. I owe you that at the very least, buddy. So yeah, I'll get that done. I'm just a nightmare. WhatsApp me is probably better, because my DMs right now are mad, bruv. Like, I ain't never seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like it in my life. It's a crazy world. Crazy, crazy world. There we go. Another super chat here says, with Lukaku, we win the league. I love your content, Terry from South Africa. Thank you very much. Very humbling to be watched by anybody, let alone from people from around the world. So thank you very much indeed. Inter will want £150 million for Lukaku. They will, but I don't think they'll get that, even if they want it, to be fair. Nick Sports, Sheringham and Cole hated each other. They won the treble. And this is it. This is it, legitimately. Like, I remember, I know, Bav and Lee Gunner didn't get on. I know that Igao and Lee Gunner didn't get on. I loved putting them on camera together. I thought it was it made excellent viewing. I didn't like it when it went too personal, and we had to get to that point. But there's always this element of sort of just have a bit of fun with it. Do you know what I mean? I don't like KJ. I legitimately think KJ's a knob. Like, he annoys me in every single way. But I don't really. It's there we go. There we go. Right, Nick Toller's on the show with me now. Nick's a Chelsea fan. What you saying, mate?
Hey, Terry. Firstly, thanks for reporting, the correct information in a day that there's a lot of, misinformation nowadays on Twitter and all that stuff with Haaland, and you're a really reliable source for all this information. So firstly, thank you for reporting on the right information.
Thank you. Look, I full disclosure, I report on what I hear and what I think and what I feel. And I think what I try to do as best, and I won't always get it right. Of course, I make mistakes, and sometimes you get the wrong information, but I just try and cut through the nonsense. Like I said yesterday with the Jules Koundé deal, there are some elements to do with the payment structure that need to be resolved, but everyone's relaxed about it. And then today you get the Athletic. I just read another quote from the Athletic where they've said that Chelsea are incessant in their pursuit. Incessant in their pursuit. I mean, Simon Johnson has just come out and said that Chelsea are prepared to do whatever it. This is what's weird. It's that Chelsea to do prepared. This is what I mean by when I want to cut through the BS. There's a comment here.
Yeah, I hear that.
It says Chelsea are prepared to do whatever it takes to sign the centre back this summer. An agreement, though, is thought to be some way off. If they're prepared to do anything.
Yeah, that's just contradictory, right? It makes no sense.
And it doesn't matter. Then it's going to be fine. It's just what happens is there's a lot of work to be done before a transfer can go through. But instead of just saying that listen, Chelsea and Sevilla are pretty much there. Chelsea are not going to let this go. They're willing to pay up to the asking price. Everyone relax, because that ends the news.
Exactly.
But they have to keep the news going by,
So,
you know what I mean?
yeah, it's just a continuation.
Prepared to pay £1 billion for the player, but they're nowhere near a deal yet. Well, that's because
exactly
small details work. It's like if Chelsea, if your first statement is true, then everyone should just relax in it because it's going to happen. But anyway, go on, mate. What are you here to say, my friend? What are you here to say?
I was just going to say with the Haaland stuff, like, we just need to be patient, take our time. You know, this would be a record-breaking deal for the club and for the Premier League, and stuff like this just can't be organized in the moment, right? So we just have to wait it out through the news. And I know it's a bit hard right now because there is not a lot of news coming out. I think that's what a lot of Chelsea fans are quite annoyed and frustrated at. It's like, well, there's no Erling Haaland news, so this means the deal must be off, right? So it's being patient, being comfortable, and acknowledging the fact that this will take time, right? And to secure Erling Haaland, we just need to be patient and trust the club, right? But the other thing is, I mean, yes, whilst he has said he's come out and not spoken to Mino Raiola, or he wants to stay at Dortmund, or he wants those assists from that new player, you know, and all those press conferences, of course he's going to say that. You know, you have to stay loyal to your club and loyal to your employer, most importantly. That's rule number one. So I feel like that, you know, it'll take just a bit of time. Like, Chelsea fans, calm down. It'll take a bit of time. All will be good soon.
Yeah, for me, what's slowing this deal again? Simon, again, the Athletic have The Athletic have said they're going to do whatever. They're incessant. They've been watching him for 2 years. They're going to do whatever it takes. If the Zuma deal goes through, essentially, they haven't said what they'll pay, but they'll say they'll pay the money up. Well, if you know,
I think that's 35 mil, somewhere around there.
The point is, if Simon Johnson from the Athletic knows that Chelsea are going to do all this, then Sevilla know that Chelsea are going to do all this, right? Which means it's all in agreement. And where he's right as well, the deal might be some way off, because Zuma might have said it's going to take me a week or so to decide what I'm going to do. But
exactly. He has to weigh up the options. Maybe he wants to go to West Ham, stay in London, something like that, right?
It's when you actually break these things down and go, well, what does that mean? You're like, it's fine then. Like, as soon as I read that every day publication, I sort of read it and I'm like, my reading was, it's fine then. If, for instance, the report said, if Chelsea don't want to pay any more cash, they want to do a player plus swap deal, then I would go, damn, that doesn't sound good. Because if Zuma then pulls away, you're left in a predicament. That's not what's being said. So I just kind of feel like it just needs to be kind of like, people just need to relax a little bit on there as well.
Exactly. That's the thing. And the people aren't relaxed because there's just so much misinformation going around the community everywhere, on football Twitter, online. You see them. You see it everywhere. Just, Erling Haaland, you've seen him with this photo of this guy. He's in talks. He has personal terms agreed. It's not true. Like, and then there'll be the other people who say, the deal's completely off. He's not spoken to Mino Raiola. You just need to balance up the facts. And, you know, you've been very good at that, Terry, and credit to you. So big up for keeping that up and reporting us the real news this season for the transfers.
Listen, I appreciate that. It means a great deal to me. Nick, thanks for coming on the show, mate, and having your top man. Thank you very, very much indeed. Kai is with us now. Morning, Kai. How are you, buddy?
Morning, Terry. I'm good. Just at work.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, hey, the Lukaku thing, Lukaku to Haaland. It's I don't know. Knowing Chelsea, I just don't see that deal happening in the last 3 weeks. 150 million just dropped in the last week or 2 days before deadline. I don't think it's that easy, which is a shame, because I really, really like Tuchel, and I think a big percentage of the fans really like Tuchel. But and it's not only applied to Tuchel, it's applied the same way to Conte, to Mourinho. All those great managers, they want things at Chelsea, and then Chelsea thought that they know better than them, and they end up not improving on the team. And I think right now is the time for Chelsea to be able to dominate for the next few years. All we need is a good striker, maybe another midfielder. We can be very good, because financially we are far more powerful than clubs like Real Madrid, Bayern, and all those clubs who have financial issues. So if we can capitalize on this, we potentially have a player who's going to be there for us for another 8 or 9 years. And knowing Chelsea, we are much more likely to sign 3 or 4 Moratas and all these 50 million players who in the long run are going to flop. And basically, it's better for us to sign that 150 million player who's going to arguably be here for at least 5 or 6 years. So it is frustrating, but people are saying I don't trust Chelsea. It's not that I don't trust Chelsea. I have my doubts about around Chelsea because based on history, I just have my doubts because 150 million is a lot of money. A lot of people seem to not know, but there's a lot of things that come into it. There's taxes, there's fees for different agents. It's a big amount, and the fact that people are very calm and assuming, oh yeah, it's going to be done in the last week. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, and it's a pity because Tuchel is a great manager, and the heights where he can take Chelsea is are great. But it's just sad that Chelsea are acting this way, arguably with one of the best managers we had in a while. And,
yeah. No, listen, I do get where you're coming from, and there's one thing I've stated all summer that I remember doing a stream with Jem. We were in Stratford first time we met, and we were talking, and I said it then, and I stand by it again. I think Roman would do this signing tomorrow if he could. I think it is the clubs saying we've got to be very, very careful. The problem you have is you're right, is the alternatives behind it, because the standard of Chelsea is winning leagues. And you know what's going to happen if you don't have a prolific goal. And there was a Chelsea fan on last night saying, well, look, City won the Premier League last year without having a recognised number 9 as their main goal scorer. That isn't even the issue. Nobody last season for Chelsea was prolific. And you still need, you still need players. If you ever got a prolific number 9, you need your inside forwards and attacking midfielders all getting 10, 12, 13 goals each in a season minimum. Titles, and there's just no guarantee with that when it comes to Chelsea Football Club. So it's really interesting to see. What's your take on the situation with Lukaku and some reports? Yes, it's mad out of Italy yesterday. Yesterday he said no, and today he's now the number 1 target, and Chelsea are going to push on. Can you imagine? Although I know you're not 100% convinced by the operations of your club, if Lukaku said no thanks, no, I don't want to join, could you actually imagine Chelsea continuing to chase him?
I'm not 100% sure that he said no, because I know Slens, you know me, bro. I can't just be blindly positive, man. I can't be blindly positive. I'm not that guy, man. I have too much testosterone for that, It's but anyway, with the stuff that comes with it, Lukaku, I would love Lukaku to come to Chelsea. I think he's a great player. I think he would benefit us a lot, especially with Havertz with him. The way he complements Lautaro Martinez. He could do the same thing for Havertz, but it's the same thing with the fee. Chelsea are if you remember the Havertz deal, they had to negotiate it for quite a bit, and that's not even half of the price they're asking for Haaland. So I do have my doubt, but if we actually offer Lukaku that we want him to be our main player, because the number 9 traditionally is your main man, I think he would accept it. But I just don't see Chelsea again spending 80 or 90 million on that 28-year-old. It's just not a Chelsea thing to do. Chelsea look at the value and the sell-on value of a player. So for them to spend 100 million on Lukaku, I just don't see it coming, unless something great with their change of mentality comes along, and I just don't see it.
I get where you're coming from, mate. I do. And listen, not everyone needs to be positive. I like the way I like the cut of your jib. You make me giggle. Sometimes it's there. Just reading in completely separate news. I'm just reading here that Gary Lineker has now been welcomed to the La Liga TV family for the course of next season. I don't want to say this and be horrible to Gary Lineker, but when he told us he was leaving BT Sport, he said it was so that he could watch more football with his family. He's now joining a different TV network. Maybe he's not obviously going to be doing midweek stuff. He's not going to do midweek stuff and he can still watch things. But why didn't you just say you were leaving because you were joining a different TV network? Anyway, that's just my take on things. Good congratulations on your new deal. I'm sure he's earning very, very nicely out of it and doing the business. Listen,
can I say one more thing, Terry? Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, of course you can, mate. Of course you can.
About Chelsea, again, I just hate when people say that Kai doesn't think we're going to sign a striker. Signing any striker is not good enough. I'm tired of we had Eto'o, Pato, Lukaku, Higuain, all this 30-something years old strikers who have been in the long run have been useless for us. They all flopped. There's a reason for that. We need to invest heavily. Strikers are expensive. We need to spend. We can't just keep getting patches. I don't just want us to sign a striker. I want us to sign the striker, man. That's what people don't understand with my argument. I don't want us to sign another striker who isn't all that. I want us to sign something for a long run. And I think being overly positive about and seeing nothing in return is as bad as someone being negative. Because I think it's unfair to Tuchel. But that's it. That's all I want to say, Terry.
Oh, I hear you on that. No, I do hear you on that. And what will be unfair for Tuchel is the standards, because you do know that if you don't get a striker and he finishes fourth and doesn't challenge for the title and doesn't retain the Champions League, he does lose his job. It's as simple. It's as simple as that. Someone says, "Oh, Lineker's also got a game show coming out on ITV." Listen, I've got no issue with anyone working and making money. Just tell us the truth. Just tell us the truth. Cheers, Kai. Thanks very much, mate. Terry, the reason for me saying that Chelsea will be lucky to make 500 million in 2 seasons, I don't get what Terry. The reason for me saying that Chelsea, I don't get what you mean by that. I didn't read the previous comment, mate. I don't get to read them all. I'm very, very sorry. Terry, we'll get business moving soon. I trust the club. They know Thomas Tuchel is the real deal. Next, we've got Ziad to come. We've got South London to come. But first up, Lamin is here with us. Lamin, give me your thoughts and feelings this morning, young man.
Morning, Terry. Well, the first thing I want to say is that I slightly disagree with what Kai was saying. We can't just keep chasing after Haaland the whole summer. We have to move on at some point. And like with the whole Lukaku situation also going on, we need to have alternatives. I personally don't think that. I just think that we probably just need a 20-goal striker to really challenge for the league title. Haaland's looking very, very hard to get done. What I don't want is for us to spend all this time trying to get the striker in and not be able to get him. And so yeah, like I don't know what the club are doing, whether they're doing their due diligence. I'm sure they are, but right now it just looks like we're linked with 2 strikers. And my worry is if we don't get either one of those in, then it becomes really hard when we're looking at, okay, we start going down below Haaland, Lukaku. I'm like, okay, so who's next? Because we really need to get a striker in, and heads will turn if Chelsea go into the season without signing a striker. That's when we riot, because we really need to get someone in. And another thing Kai said about Eto'o that actually made me jump on. I'm like, first things first, Eto'o wasn't a flop. Eto'o is one of the greatest strikers. I would even put him above Drogba, and I'm a Chelsea fan. Not Chelsea legends. I'm talking greatest African players. Eto'o, to me, is ahead of Drogba.
Listen, on that point, I get you, but it's when they, I suppose it's, do you know what? One thing Eleanor said once on the show, which I thought was bang on, where she said, I don't care what Jose did at his greatest. I'm judging him on what he's doing at my club. So based on that, I can understand why some Chelsea fans were not disappointed with Eto'o, but you could have got someone on the way up. But did you hear what Eto'o said yesterday in an interview when they said, I think they were talking about Fatty, and they turned around and said that, you know, what will he learn from Messi? Because as we know, you played with Messi. And Eto'o's like, no. I said, what? He said, I didn't play with Messi. Said, at that time in his career, Messi played with me. And he's actually right. Eto'o was a world-class superstar when he was playing with Messi, and Messi was on his way up. And he was like, no, I didn't play with Messi. Messi played with me. I love about that. It's like, I love people that know their worth. I love people that know, like, their status in the game. Do you know what I mean? And he was such a great player.
He's right. He's still the only player to win back-to-back trebles with 2 different clubs. He was lethal. And I'm sad that we got him like later on in his career. But even when he came, he was still banging in goals. You remember his hat-trick against United? I still do. So
I don't need to be reminded of that, bro. I don't need. Why are you bringing that up on my show? I'm only joking, bro. I'm only joking. But yeah, as you say, back-to-back treble winner. I don't think he gets as much respect as he deserves. And do you know why I think that is? Techie. He was a good footballer, and he did loads of things that were brilliant, but he isn't remembered for flicks and tricks and step overs and quiff turns and, like, do you get what I mean? He wasn't remembered for doing things that are sort of stand out, but he was beyond. He was a very technically good, gifted football player, but he was a great finisher. He was also brilliant. I think he doesn't get the credit for how quality he was in terms of his teamwork. It didn't matter where he was playing. That this is gonna be your role today. That you're gonna do. Like the way he was used at Barca was very different to how he was used at Inter Milan. Completely different systems, but he adapted and worked, and that for me is a world-class player. That adaptability.
He was also a big game player. Eto'o, I remember watching him in finals against Arsenal, who turned up. It was him against United in the final. So big game players, when we talk about people that actually turn up. I love Drogba. I actually absolutely do, because like he's my guy, obviously. But I always admire Eto'o and like just what he was doing. I would just wish we had him like when he was younger still. So I disagree with Claire on that.
Listen, brother, thank you very much for coming on and having your say, mate. And we'll speak to you again soon. Top man. Viewers that are tuning in, just a quick update for you if you're new right now. Firstly, hit that like button. Please share this stream across your social media platforms. Follow the Football Terrace across all our networks at the moment that we have open. All the links are below. The notification group chat, the most important, is on Telegram. You'll see the link in our description. Go and get signed up to that. But big reports today coming out of Italy that Haaland is no longer the #1 target. In fact, Chelsea have ended their pursuit of him, and Lukaku is the new #1. Categorically untrue. I'm not even going to call it clickbait as such. It's just a lie at this moment in time. The day that Chelsea give up their pursuit of Haaland, you will see the Matt Laws of this world tell you, because they will all be instantaneously briefed. It'll be one of those moments where everyone's talking about it at the same time. I.e., a little example a few weeks ago about Jordan Henderson. Do you notice how quickly that spread and how many outlets had that story? Varane, how quickly everyone, it's because they were briefed. The agent or the club especially, they'll go out to the media and they'll speak to a number of outlets. Often, it's funny, I was talking to a journalist the other day, often they don't get sent it like it's like everyone's BCC'd in. Sometimes you get an update via email, and it's just like a generic update that everyone gets sent, and they all get the same information. You see different stories because people read things differently. But Haaland's potential move to Chelsea is not off. Slens is now on the show with me this morning. Slens is here with me now. What you saying, bro?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. What's your take on this weird news today about Haaland and Lukaku, bruv?
It's a slow news day in Italy, man. Chelsea, they're just trying to sell some papers, man. Nah, it's not true. I believe that Lukaku might be our second choice, but Haaland's always been the first choice. And as you said, I've said this many times, Matt Law come out and said we registered interest in Haaland. He said he came out and said that in the beginning the end of June. So he would come out and say that we're no longer interested or we can't pull off a deal, if that is true, which obviously isn't. So listen, I understand everyone's like pragmatic approach and like looking at the board, but we can look at failed transfers, but we can also look at successful transfers. I'm usually a pessimistic person, but I've decided to take the positive route with this deal. And again, for me, like I tweeted this morning. I said, just because there's no news doesn't mean it's bad news. Like Chelsea want to keep this under wraps because it avoids PR and it avoids like you not saving face. So at the end of the day, no news could be good news. It could be us getting developments, but no one's been briefed yet. So just relax, people. Sometimes you just need to relax, man. Honestly,
I commented on your I commented on what you said because it was 100% spot on. I know everyone wants news now and they want it straight away, but it's just like there's two things the media do when there's nothing to say. They throw an opinion piece in and present it as fact. And the other side of things, when they do have news, but they know it's going to take a while to get to conclusion, they release it slowly. Like, honestly, the Koundé deal is going to follow the same path as the Varane situation, in my opinion. It's everyone knows where it's at, but there's no point telling everybody now because you can keep everybody on tender hooks, and you can do a little post tomorrow saying like, in my article tomorrow morning, I've got an update on Koundé. It's like, brother, you had that information 5 days ago. You just didn't release it as of yet. And where the journalists are in a very privileged position is that they're briefed. So they know when the next briefing is coming. They're told, look, we'll update you in due course. So they know that information is still relevant because it isn't just going to suddenly change because the information's controlled. Generally speaking, especially when it comes to clubs like Chelsea, City, Liverpool, the way you operate is so good. Do you understand? So I'm in your camp, mate. I just say everyone should stay relaxed. Everyone should just stay kind of to get together on this.
Do you see a world, where we sell 2 of our strikers and not sign one? Like, I even if it's not Haaland, do you see a world where that's happening? I don't see a world where that's happening. We're selling Tammy. I think that is almost a fact. We've just sold Giroud. We've promoted Armando Broja, yes, but is he someone who can be a second choice? I see him as a third choice. So again, for me, I don't look into papers and talk. I look at actions. I think we're trying to generate money by selling our academy players again. Like, I know people have said that there is a new regulation in terms of academy players, but usually we would just loan the players out. But it seems to me that we're trying to clear out wages. Like, all of these things are actions, and these actions could lead to that conclusion that we're still working on the Haaland deal.
Listen, we've added CFC chats and Jem to the stream as well. This is all coincided together. So West Ham and Arsenal want Tammy Abraham. I've spoke to 5-6 journalists. I've spoke to a few agents. I spoke to so many people about that, and they've all said the same. They want him. Both clubs want him, but none want to pay £40 million. And what they are waiting for is for what they believe to happen, that Chelsea sign a striker, Tammy gets pushed further down the pecking order. There's no way Chelsea can spin it that he's the number one, that he's not second fiddle, therefore his valuation drops. So they're waiting for that to happen. They're confident Chelsea are going to sign a striker of some sort to come in. Now, of course, if they don't sign a striker and you want Tammy Abraham, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny. Why are you going to have to pay a pretty penny? Because Chelsea will have no strikers left, right? So, or they have Werner left as an example. So you're in this sort of situation where there's loads of moving parts. It's a domino effect here. And you know what? If Arsenal just came out now and offered you 40, 50 million pounds straight up cash, Tammy, you might then act quicker on one of these strikers you're looking at, because there's new and additional money that's come in. It's just a game of waiting, and there's 4 weeks left. Jem's here. What's your thoughts, mate?
I'm just getting bored of it, man. Like this Haaland thing, and then when I wake up every morning, I see silly things like this Lukaku news. Like, honestly, we know what needs to be done, and it's literally an announcement from one of the tier 1 journalists to say, yes, the bid's been accepted, and now it's the medical, or it's no, it's off. Literally, there's nothing else to it. And with the Lukaku thing, like, is it too early to use analogies? Because I actually just feel like the best way to explain it is by using an analogy for Lukaku. Because you go into a club, right? Yeah, you see a group of girls. I've done this on my show yesterday. The boys were there as well. Yeah, you see a group of girls, and there's a really pretty bird. 10 out of 10 to you. Yeah, so you go over there and you go and chat her up, and she entertains you, and it's all going well and whatever else. But she ain't really giving you much. By the end of the night, you think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to crack on with her best mate. So you go up to her best mate and you start trying to chat her up as well. Yes, and she turns around and looks at you and she's like, well, why are you bothering with me when you've been on her the whole night? That is the same thing with Lukaku. We have showed no interest in Lukaku really properly since the beginning of this transfer window. It's always been Haaland who has been the number 1 target for Chelsea. So I kind of believe we've actually approached Lukaku, and I actually think Lukaku's probably turned around and actually said, you know what, I'm happy where I am, not really interested, because Chelsea haven't bothered showing that he is our number 1 target. He's not the kind of guy that wants to be second fiddle. He wants to be the main man, so it is what it is. And that's why I think Haaland's got to happen. It's got to happen.
I mean, listen, there's definite truth in that. The reason that you lost out on Lukaku the first time round when you tried to re-sign him to Man United is because over the course of that summer, Man United showed more attention. They contacted him more. They didn't just assume that he would sign, and that meant a lot to him. But so I totally get where you're coming from. What you're saying is highly, highly logical, and that's the issue. And Chelsea could find themselves in a position where there's Lewandowski links. I don't see that one happening. Lukaku says no, not coming, not showing me enough love. Haaland next summer goes off to Real Madrid because it's a cheaper deal. Like, who are you going to buy? I mean, there were links to the likes of Andre Silva. That's now done for a while because he's gone to RB Leipzig. Suddenly, you start looking at who these prolific goal scorers are around England and Europe, and it's like,
Danny,
like, do you know what I mean? CFC Chats is here with us. What are you saying, CFC Chats?
Yeah, good evening, guys. I'm agree with what Jeminson's saying. I feel like I personally don't see Lukaku coming to Chelsea. I feel like again he is the main man. He's not going to be here, fighting Werner for the first spot striker. And as you said, if we don't sign Haaland, we don't sign Lewandowski, we don't sign Lukaku, who is there to sign? And I don't think there is anyone, honestly, because we need a top tier striker. And that's why I think behind the scenes we are signing Haaland. And I think we've got to wait patiently for it to come publicly. I've said this like 1,000 times, but I say it again, a lot happens behind the scenes, and I think we just got to wait. But I know I get how Jim was saying he wants to see it now, and I'm the same too. But I know we just got to be patient. We got to wait, and I personally do think that Haaland has signed for Chelsea, and we will be seeing it soon.
Terry, just quickly going back to the Lukaku thing, yeah? You'll probably know better than most because he came from you guys. Is it true that Inter Milan don't make any real money from this if they sell Lukaku because Man United have got some sort of clause in it where it allows them to earn a certain amount of money out of the sale? So if he goes to his next club.
It's not so much, as far as I'm aware, it isn't so much a clause. They owe Man United around £40 million still for the player. So the fact they owe us around £40 million, so if you give them 90, they still owe us £40 million of that. As an example, they haven't made that payment to Manchester United as of yet. We're just one of the secured creditors they've got, which is one of the reasons why they're in trouble. A lot of it's the banks that they had to pay already. Of course, the sale of Hakimi has helped them in that regard, but there's still views that there's still problems at clubs like Inter Milan and everywhere else. And
that's why they're selling Martinez basically over Lukaku, because they can make money out of it more so.
They're denying that.
Yeah.
Inter are at a point now where they're denying. They're denying that they are going to sell anybody else. But European football clubs are not convinced that's the case. Like, there's almost this element of you just got out of the woods, but do you not need a bit of extra money to? Let's just say there's another spike and lockdowns happening. Like, none of us can none of us know what's going to happen, right? Especially not in countries that we're not living in. They might just, maybe we'll take an extra 70-80 million pound now, just to have in our cash reserves in case there's a problem. Who knows?
I'll tell you what though, Terry. Looking at Lukaku, if they do end up selling their best players in terms of Martinez and obviously the defender Bastoni and Barella, if they sell two or three or even one of them, does Lukaku look at it and think, why am I staying here? Like, what am I doing here? Like, they're selling the best assets around me, so I won't succeed to the same level. I've even lost my favorite manager. I honestly, do you question his mentality in that case? I don't know. I kind of do.
Mate, when I spoke to Christophe Terra and Sacha Tavolieri, two very credible Belgium experts, they both said the exact same thing, and that was however many weeks ago when we were about 1 week away from the Euro starting. They said the same thing. Lukaku said he isn't going, but we have to wait until he returns to training, the mood and relationship with the new manager, and who else Inter Milan sell. Because if Martinez leaves, along with Hakimi and maybe one other person, Lukaku's mindset could completely change. Yeah. Well, if he's in training and he's like, this is awful, the mood's changed, the players have gone, and that's two of the most credible Belgium experts out there. Of course, they're getting their information direct from people that will know Lukaku. So that's, of course, a distinct possibility, which is why when you speak to anyone in the industry and you get them to be, barring people connected closely to Inter Milan, who of course are going to spin that it's not happening side of things, are all saying the same thing. I'm not really listening to what he's saying. So I get that, boys. CFC Chats, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. We're going to add the Winter Surfer before the end of the stream here. Welcome, mate, because I've got a meeting at 10:30 I have to be on. Winter Surfer, what do you want to say, bub?
I Slens and Gems know how I feel about this window. I just want it to close now, not because I don't think we're going to sign anybody, just to stop this fan base moaning every day about how speedy we are in transfers. They often forget that last year, Havertz took weeks, Chilwell took weeks, Ziyech was already signed, and the other three with Mendy, Thiago, and Werner, they came very quickly. It's just, I don't know why. I was happy this week because Tuesday, Wednesday, the fan base was nice and happy with the Koundé news. And then yesterday, because we heard that story about there's a delay or Zuma doesn't want to go, it all flips again. It all goes 2017. It all goes We're not going to sign anybody. Why can't we sign anybody? The strangest one is Marina out, which is I never get. But I'd like the window next year just to be a month from July 1st to August 1st, and then just get it over and done with. So I think it would just be better for people's mindset. But with the Lukaku news, I just think it's just another story about Lukaku. I don't read too much into it. I also don't read too much into it that he said no. I think if Inter accepted it, I think Lukaku would jump on and sign with us right away. I have no issues with that. And if we can't get Haaland, I'd gladly take Lukaku because all this team needs is a finisher. That's all it needs. Is a finisher. And you know, people scoff. If you bring Lukaku and then you bring a backup, and people might laugh, you bring a backup with Danny Ings, he can just come in as well because they will bang goals. All this team needs is a goal scorer, Terry, and that's why we're selling Tammy, because we need a clinical goal scorer. And that's
It's a great t-shirt, by the way, Andrew. It's a great t-shirt.
Yeah, well, I just
Christmas spirit, man.
I wanted to be cheerful.
There's a present coming soon. They've got a super here that says a lot of these fans get their patience from FIFA Ultimate. Haaland isn't interested. Chelsea would have signed another striker by now. Chelsea should fight for him until the end. And that's also very true as well. There's this element of, if neither of these deals were doable, Chelsea would be looking elsewhere, and they're not right now. And it's just people need to have a bit more patience. Like I've said already with the Jules Koundé deal, like everyone's just got to kind of. The problem is, I understand why we all panic and we all get worried, but actually, that's where, to a degree, as a fan, not as a content creator, but as a fan, I miss when you used to have to wait for the newspapers, because we all now know. Actually, do you know what I really miss? You know, when you went on holiday, you go somewhere like Turkey, and the papers were like a day late. So on a Wednesday, morning, you'd get Monday's paper, right? It would be like waiting. You'd be on holiday. There was no Twitter or nothing. This was like early noughties, no Twitter, nothing like this. And it'd be like waiting for the signings. I'd literally run. And I'd run to like the place, I don't know, the little news agents and sweet shop every morning for the papers. And you were 2 days old. It'd arrive in Turkey. And I'd be like, look at that. Oh, look, Ronaldo, like this has happened or that's happened.
Terry, do you remember the player Robbie Keane who played for Coventry?
Of course.
I went on holiday to Florida once for 4 weeks, and I came back, and then I read he'd gone to Inter Milan, and my jaw dropped because I hadn't read anything. But that's what we're talking about. That was when there was no Twitter or anything like that to keep you updated.
There was no social.
And you didn't, which is why I say to Pete, it's why I don't get stressed about the transfer news. Like there's this element of like someone, I told everyone last night's stream, I got a bit of a telling off yesterday by a few people I'm working with. They were like, oh, bruv. They didn't say bruv, I say bruv. They're sort of like, they were like, we know where your information's come from and it's pretty spot on, but you don't put it out like that. And they were literally like, they were one, delay it so you can string it out longer. And like I'm saying, and secondly, they were like, and just protect yourself a bit better. And I'm like, but I don't care about doing any of that. They went, trust me, you will. Honestly, the last 12 hours, I've never received abuse like it in my life. Honestly, bruv, I was like, wow. And then the funny thing is, I explained it to this one guy who was quite polite. And then when all the news started coming out yesterday from Fabrizio and then the Athletic this morning, it goes, oh my God, what you said was pretty much right. I said, I know. I'm just not a journalist, so I'm not going to put it in journalistic terms. I'm just going to say, sorted, mate. Like, there's a few little issues, but don't worry about it. Like, I probably shouldn't word things in that way. And it's because we've become... I remember doing this thing at school where I spoke about... I don't know why I was doing this, but in media studies, I was talking about how the more graphic news and TV and movies are, the more numb you become to, like, really graphic things. Does that make sense? Like you
desensitized.
Yeah.
It's like you desensitized to it. We've become oversensitized. We've become oversensitized. If you say it again for me.
Desensitized.
Yes. So we're the opposite of that. We're too sensitized.
Oversensitive. Oversensitive.
Oversensitive. That's the word. I can't get my words out today. We're so oversensitive with things now. Where if transfer news isn't worded in a generic, like key stage 1 bog standard way that's open to 10 interpretations, we can't handle it. But you said,
what does that mean?
Mate, it just means what it means, bro. Like it's and if it doesn't happen, that's normal as well. Like people are mad for it. It's like, and that's why I love Fabrizio. because what he's done, I'm telling you what he has. If I ever get to it, I'm going to ask him. I think he has on a Word document somewhere, like a little like paragraphs, and it's like early stages, mid stages, advanced stages. He has all the different tweets ready, all the different stages of a transfer, and all he does is changes the name of the club and the player.
Yeah, he does.
And the hashtag and post it in. That
Yeah.
way, it's smart. I'm literally like, I'm doing that next year, bruv. Like, I've done it a little bit with the little emojis this year, right? But even then, I get a bit excited
Terry,
with the wrong ones. But yeah, go on, mate.
even on Twitch, he speaks in phrases like he's like, oh, like very close. Like he says certain things and exactly like his tweets, which honestly I believe what you say now, because he just simplifies things for people to understand. And people obviously like put their minds to it, and they think, okay, yeah, that's what he means. Like, as you said, people just can't understand complex situations.
Even on his stream yesterday, he had all the Chelsea fans on hooks because he kept going, Koundé news coming up. Koundé news coming up. It was about 30, 40 minutes into the stream. And it was generally just maybe a repeat of what he's already sent out. But it's brilliant because you keep him on the hook. Because it's just
and he's
what
not
you do.
a merchant like people say. He's sensible. He's sensible.
Yeah.
Because if he comes out now and says that it's further down where things really are, look what happened to Alistair Gold this summer, when he basically said the Conte deal is done, it's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was briefed. And then at the 11th hour, Spurs just pulled the plug and change their minds. And I vote myself up to that. I did it with Varane. I said it in a group chat yesterday that Jem's part of. I was like, I said after the Varane deal, I wasn't going to do it anymore. Like, actually, I didn't enjoy the feeling I was getting in the process. And then got a bit excited again and did it again. And I don't think I've already decided I'm just going to be, no matter what I get told now, I'm just going to hold back and release it slower, because actually I get less abuse and there's no real mileage gained. Like, there's no mileage gained from putting it out there. And every journalist I've spoken to, the amount of them, Dean, and we had Rob on yesterday, they're like, look, we get a lot of information. They just go, we just don't tweet about it, because it isn't, whether you're right or wrong, it isn't worth the attention. Because even when you're right, you get bare abuse as well. Like, I put out on Tuesday morning, very early in the morning, that the situation with Man City and Jack Grealish had advanced. The talks were advanced. The Villa fans that in my DMs, bruv. Oh my God. And then Sam Lee confirms it from The Athletic. And then after that, Dean Jones confirms it. And then after that, yesterday, Fabrizio confirms it. And now it's sort of like not one of those Villa fans has come back saying sorry. So that's the point. That whether you're right or wrong, that's either way.
That's because
and by the way, I'm not Fabrizio. I don't want to be Fabrizio. Like, I'm just a YouTuber that's growing what we're doing. And I've now, compared to every other year, I've now had access to people that I would never. And by the way, the meeting I'm going on to in 5 minutes, like, creme de la creme agent, but it's nothing to do with transfers. It's to do with some work we're doing. Like, I've now got access to things I never had before and everything else. But I've already learned in the space of 2 weeks. I don't like this. I don't like it.
Terry, do you know what? It's just quick.
I want my mummy. I want my mummy. That's what I want. That's what.
It's probably a lot of people now these days tier make people. You're actually all, like, it's like journalists are all tiered. So when it comes from you to that individual, you might not be like a tier 6. Do you know what I mean? Compared to when it comes to sort of releasing news.
I was going to say,
then when a Fabrizio says it and it's tier 1, it's like, oh my God. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just find it weird how everyone sort of just tears.
I was just going to say quickly, Terry, though, I'm worried for you, man, because you got most things right. So when you get something wrong, which I hope you don't, it's good. It's going to be good. Man.
Don't call yourself tier in training.
Tiering.
You know what it is? I'm a bit like that. Do you know what it comes down to? As you say, like, I know for a fact, right, that people are circling. I know for a fact certainly. I guarantee there's some big YouTubers circling me, some big accounts, everything screenshot. I know, bro. Do you know how I know this? I got done about a week ago. This guy, he had an account that looked like the United Journal, and it looked like bang on, like, because he used a capital Y instead of an L at the end, right? And I took I took their information. I quoted the person that they said had said it, right? And then I put their like via the United Journal, and it was a fake troll account. Within a minute, right, I deleted my post. I posted, and then I screenshot the other person saying this is fake. I got done by it. Don't be drawn in. Like, I thought I'd and I had this 3 or 4 accounts, and then this massive Man United news account go, "Is this you, bruv? They'd screenshot my shit." And they were like, and then they started saying Terry made it up. And I've got a lot of friends going, hang on a minute. The account Terry saying fake posted it at like 11:30 at night. Terry's post was at like 12:10. How could Terry have made it up?
Yeah,
But it was like, but that's my point. There are people already
they're shocking you, bro.
And for me, like I sort of look at it this way. I've not sat there all summer going, oh, I could turn into this or be looked at as this. I just give information as I hear. Even when I'm given some information, I still go, well, I don't quite agree with it. Like I still don't.
Yeah.
It's what it is. But now listen, they're definitely the Sharks are circling. But do you know what?
You got shark repellent, yeah. You got shark repellent.
Yeah, like
poking in the eyes.
Do you know, for me, I'm just gonna quote when Conor McGregor was good. You know, if I get something wrong, I'm gonna apologize to absolutely nobody. There we go. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you very, very much indeed. Take care. Goodbye. God bless.